We've now come to know that Andrew Cuomo did not actually handle the pandemic very well at all, but in those early days, he was being glorified and applauded and clapped and patted on the back. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is in your part of the world. Thank you for coming by. Today, we will be talking about Chris Cuomo and his brother, former governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo. So a lot of people right now on the internet and the mainstream media, the corporate media, are talking a lot about Chris Cuomo's suspension and how Chris was actually helping his brother Andrew kind of defend himself against some pretty nasty allegations. Now, that is not what I'm going to be focusing my attention on today. What I'm going to be focusing my attention on is something that I actually read in the transcripts that were released from the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, who goes by Tish apparently. There was a transcript that was released, and it basically is sort of like a deposition, but for our purposes, you can just consider it to be a deposition. It's not a deposition, but it was run exactly like one. I have that transcript. I'm going to share the screen. One thing I need y'all to understand is, in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, but in my opinion, the fact that Chris Cuomo actually helped with the media or the PR strategy having to do with those allegations of misconduct is really the least of my concerns. It's a big deal and we can talk about it. If you want to know my opinions on that particular issue, please do go watch Andy Popcorned Planet's video. I was on there at the time of recording of this video yesterday, but it was December 1st. So if you want to know my opinions on all of that, you know, what everyone's talking about right now, just go watch Andy's. I already said what I need to say. What I want to bring to y'all's attention is something that I actually found while I was reading the transcript itself. Now I'm going to share my screen. If you want to read that entire transcript, it is available below in the description box under the court files. If you click on that, it'll bring you to my Google Drive, completely open access and free, and it will show you this transcript and you can read it yourself. It's over 300 pages. So we're going to be looking through just one part of it because I really want to make sure that this doesn't get lost. The media storm, right? So without further ado, I'm going to share the screen here. What we have here and what we are looking at is that transcript. Again, if you want to see it, you can click below. So what I actually want to go to is page 30. Oh, another thing I thought was super interesting. I mean, maybe y'all know this. I don't know a lot about New York politics. This is all brand new to me. But apparently, Andrew and Chris Cuomo's father also was the governor of New York. So I don't know. I mean, I like to cover a lot on my channel about nepotism and about, you know, family corruption and stuff like that and how it permeates into our business and our life. Oh. I just think it's interesting, like Andrew Cuomo has been the governor for 12 years of New York, and then their father was also governor for 12 years. So Chris Cuomo, who happens to have the biggest segment on CNN, right? He's got the most lucrative segment on CNN. This guy who's like basically synonymous with CNN at this point, who's been in the media his whole life, 24 out of the 50 years he's been alive, he's had an immediate family member who is a governor of New York. And it just goes to show, right, like which family you're born into in the United States actually has a lot to do and a lot to say about how you end up. Now, we're the land opportunity and all of that, but from where I'm sitting, if you're born in a family where your dad was the governor of New York,
you might end up
you might end up getting to be the lead anchor on CNN. I mean, listen, he's not that funny. He's not, I don't understand why he's like the lead guy and whatever. We can get into all that more later. But anyway, this is what I want to go to really show y'all today. And this is really the crux of this video. And I don't want to get too lost in the woods because I really want y'all to see what exactly is going on here. So in this part of the interview, Chris Cuomo is talking about how he communicates often or infrequently with Andrew Cuomo's staff, right? So let's just start here. When they're passing information to you about Cuomo's administration, are they doing so as a source of information so you can use it in your reporting, right? So basically, are they acting as a source so that you can go to CNN and talk about it? Chris says no. Okay, so next question. Then why are they doing it, to your understanding? Because he's my brother. The governor is my brother, is what he says. The next question is, and do you have an understanding as to whether in those occasions, your advice or counsel is being sought? Now remember, whenever Chris Cuomo went on CNN and said, I'm not going to be reporting on my brother because it gives a conflict of interest.
I never covered my brother's troubles because I obviously have a conflict. So I never reported on the scandal.
And he says, I am not my brother's counselor. I am not a consultant. He said, I'm his brother.
I'm not an advisor. I'm a brother. I was there to listen and offer my take. It was a unique situation being a brother to a politician in a scandal and being part of the media. I tried to do the right thing. And I just want you all to know that. This will be my final word on it. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do so.
Okay, well, that's all cute and stuff. But look what he said in July 2020. He said, sometimes, as his answer to the question, in those occasions, is it your understanding that your advice is being sought? Your counsel is being sought? And he says, yes, sometimes. So he is a counselor. So he went on TV and lied.
I'm not an advisor.
He went on television and lied to us.
I'm a brother.
Which should come as no surprise that a CNN anchor would be lying to us, because Chloe Malos is a CNN anchor, and y'all already know. Go watch my video about her. I got 2 up about her. The CNN interview that she, wanted buried. It's not a surprise to me that CNN is lying. And at this point, Chris Cuomo is CNN. That's the issue. He is CNN. So he says, the next question is, can you give me an example of a situation prior to December 2020, which is when all the bad allegations against Andrew Cuomo started to come up? Can you give me an example before all that, when your advice or counsel was sought by the staff of the executive chamber?
I'm not an advisor.
And Chris Cuomo, the lead anchor of CNN, the guy who was in charge of telling us what was going on during the early days of the pandemic, y'all, me and my partner Prim, we did nothing but watch CNN to get the pandemic news. So look what this mother was doing. Discussions, this is what Chris Cuomo said, discussions about initiatives with the pandemic and messaging from the governor about different aspects of how he was handling the COVID crisis. The follow-up question is it fair to say that in those circumstances, they are looking for your expertise in communications? He says, maybe.
I'm not an advisor.
Everybody just stop and ask yourself, what is really going on here? There's a lot of rigmarole in the media about they're brothers. I don't listen. Okay, they're brothers. They're brothers. Fine. Just take that small fact and put it to the side for 1 second and think about what else they are. What else are they besides just brothers? Andrew Cuomo was the governor of New York. In the early days of the pandemic, New York City was one of the worst spots in the whole world with the breakouts of the, pandemic. People were dropping like flies, unfortunately. We've now come to know that Andrew Cuomo did not actually handle the pandemic very well at all. But in those early days, he was being glorified and applauded and clapped and patted on the back. CNN went so far as to actually have Andrew Cuomo come on CNN. Remember the big Q-tip and this is your thing and all that?
This was the swab that the nurse was actually using on you, and that at first it went into your nose and disappeared, so that in scale, this was the actual swab that was being used to fit up that double-barrel shotgun that you have mounted on the front of your pretty face.
See, I said I was going to be nice and sweet.
I just want a yes, no.
And
was it
trying.
this?
Do y'all remember all that? CNN went so far as to have Andrew Cuomo come on and talk to Chris Cuomo, and they had this whole buddy kiki where they were talking to each other and all of that. All the while, behind the scenes, Chris Cuomo, the lead anchor at CNN with one of the most lucrative hours on, prime time, the prime time anchor of CNN, forget that they're brothers for 1 second. I understand that it is important, but just forget it for 1 second. The lead anchor of CNN was working with the governor of New York to market the pandemic to the American people, including me.
I obviously have a conflict.
And I'm saying me because I was at that time, I now know CNN is full of you know what, but at that time I was getting my news from CNN. Discussions about initiatives with the pandemic and messaging from the governor about different aspects of how he was handling the COVID crisis. We had the lead anchor of CNN running PR for the governor of New York.
I obviously have a conflict.
The government and the media working together to make the American people think a certain thing,
Have a conflict.
to sway the American people's opinion a certain way. And I keep saying American people, but I don't think it was just Americans watching CNN. The government, the governor of New York, the government, the executive branch was working with corporate media to market the pandemic
Because I obviously have a conflict.
to the public, to we the people. And we're all getting lost in the weeds about, oh, well, he helped somebody find up dirt. No, he didn't. I read through this transcript. Nobody found dirt. I have a feeling that all of that is a big distraction from the fact that this man admitted to working with the government to market the pandemic. And that actually did have an effect on the people. That had an effect on me. It made me think certain things. And a lot of y'all are gonna be in the comments talking about, well, you're stupid for believing it. Maybe I am. I am a little bit optimistic. I'm not some type of cynic like some of y'all. I did at one point believe that I was being told the truth. And if that makes me stupid, then I'm stupid. We have Chris Cuomo admitting in black and white that he gave his advice and his counsel on how to market the pandemic.
I'm not an advisor. I'm a brother.
Discussions about initiatives with the pandemic and messaging from the governor, how he was handling different aspects of the pandemic. I'm sorry, like, if y'all want to know my opinion about all the other stuff with the women and all that, I did read it and I have opinions. Go watch Popcorn Planet. But I really want people to start talking about the fact that CNN worked with the New York governor. CNN worked with the New York governor. Do you know what else Chris Cuomo said in here in this transcript? That he doesn't even own a laptop. All his laptops, he has 3 computers and all of them are owned by CNN. So he is working on CNN's machines, CNN's dime. And listen, don't take my word for it. This document is available in my Google Drive. Go read it yourself. But to me, the most alarming thing in this document is that Chris Cuomo was working with the government. CNN and the government were working together to market this pandemic to us. That's just freaky to me. You know, they're brothers. Okay, that's fine. But me and my sister, when we're talking about stuff, it usually just like affects her personal life, or you know what I mean? Like, you really have to think about a bigger, you owe when you take oath to an office. The thing is, I don't actually even think Andrew Cuomo is necessarily in the wrong here. Like, he's just asking his brother. I think Chris Cuomo violated ethical principles by being the guy we were getting the news from and also trying to shape the news. And that's the bottom line. He's the guy that we're getting the news from, and it is supposed to be unbiased. And here we have an admission of bias.
I'm not an advisor. I'm a brother.
If you don't think that made its way into his reporting, you're wrong. It's biased reporting at the very least. And it makes me wonder what else they can be being biased about. It's stressful. It's stressful to me. And I know some of y'all already been knowing this and all that. But to me, constantly like being confronted with the fact that the people who are telling us our news are also working to influence the news is shocking. It's shocking to me. Anyway, that's all I have time for today. Facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.